Another controversial episode of the Board Game Sherpa. There's going to be some angry gamers out there, but it has to be said. Physical board games are better than video games. Let the games begin. Ha! Okay, maybe that was a little too strong. Maybe I should have said I prefer board games over video games. You guys can like whatever ones you want. Hi there, and welcome to the BoardGame Sherpa channel. Okay, so after my last video where I showed my learning process for new games, particularly the game Tokaido, I got more than a few comments saying that there was a Tokaido app for phones, tablets, and Steam. And I checked it out, and it's a really pretty translation of the original base game Tokaido. And I don't have to paint the miniatures. But my answer to that was that I really don't play video games anymore, which was an oversimplification since I really do kick off some tablet games when I can't sleep, notably Thunderworks Cartographers. Something about that game relaxes my brain before bedtime, and I've woken up numerous times with my tablet falling on my face. And I've played a lot of video games on many systems over the years. The Atari 2600, the Commodore VIC-20, the Atari 800 XL, PCs, Sega, Nintendo, PlayStations 1 to 4, etc. And I did play City Heroes and Call of Duty for months. But nowadays, especially after COVID, I much prefer playing board games in person with actual people rather than online. And here's why. Number one, COVID lockdown. After a year plus of isolation and lockdown, I just really need the in-person social interaction with my friends. I didn't realize just how important those interactions were until I had to do without for a pretty long time. Mind you, I could still deal with less traffic, but you gotta take the good with the bad. And hanging out with my friends is usually fun and therapeutic. Number two, too many things to sync up. Playing with friends online has a lot of moving parts. After finding a scheduled time to play with everyone, which is a pain on its own, then you have to make sure everyone owns the same game system, owns the same games, and the same version. With physical board games, you still have to deal with people's schedules, but only one person needs to buy the game. You don't have to worry about everyone having the same setup in order to play. Number three, video game updates. While we're talking about video game systems, let's talk about updating. I appreciate having the latest version of things, but updating the system and the games can take forever. Not to mention, dealing with the administration of your online gaming account, which is always having some sort of breach, is a pain in the butt. I don't make much time to play video games, for all the reasons listed in this episode. But when I do, I really don't want to sit for an hour while everything updates. By the time it's all ready, I ran out of time. Number four, breaking away from the digital leash. One of the biggest reasons I like board games better than video games is because most everything I do in real life is connected to my computer or phone. And I really just need technology breaks to get away from the digital leash. And I want to experience life as it was meant to be experienced. Board games is just a part of that. I need to turn everything off and get my head out of my screens and just do stuff with other people. I really do appreciate the advancements that computers and phones have brought us, but humanity is getting too used to not dealing with people on a one-on-one basis, and it will all bite us in the butt one day. Okay, Matrix level rant over. Number five, stranger danger. I used to play online video games a lot, and I remember the day I started using headphones to interact with other players. I plugged them in and started playing and immediately realized two things. One, people are jerks. You hear all the whiners, obnoxious winners, sore losers in real time. I can trash talk with the best of them, but this is like playing with spoiled 8-year-olds, which leads me to the second thing. They actually were spoiled 8-year-olds. Hearing those prepubescent squeaky voices made me realize that I was playing video games with children, and they weren't part of my family. I stopped using the headphones and mics that day, and shortly after just cut back playing multiplayer games altogether. Number six, keeping society safe for the next generation. Which brings me to my last reason why board games are better than video games. Board games help you to be more social. You can't act like a spoiled brat in front of actual other players, because if you do, you'll get instant feedback that's inappropriate and you might not get invited back to the next one. And the world needs some of that accountability that online video games don't provide. Maybe I'm being overly dramatic here, but you can't deny there are more and more people that seem to think that they are interacting with NPCs without feelings in the real world. So that's why I prefer physical board games over video games. I will grant that video games are fun and the graphics in them are spectacular. And most importantly, if you prefer playing video games, that's awesome, and this video should not take anything away from your enjoyment of them. It's just how I feel. Now, there's a really cool compromise to the board games versus video games debate. There's a website called BoardGames Arena where you can play board games online with multiple friends and even voice or video talk to each other over Discord servers. During lockdown, I used this service a lot. They have a huge collection of popular and esoteric games, and it comes pretty close to the in-person gaming experience. It doesn't quite beat being there in person, but if you haven't tried it yet, give it a go. You do have to pay for it to get really good games, but only one person in your group needs to be the premier user. It's worth it, and I'm not getting paid to say any of that. If you're new to the channel, this was a different kind of video than I normally make. It was just a response to people being borderline insulted that I don't play video games much. I just wanted to give my side of the story and show that there are really some benefits to board games. So what do you think? Did I change your mind? Comment below and let me have it. If this episode gave you something to think about, please subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, please give this channel a big thumbs up and share if you think it'll help someone or piss them off. Either way, it will really help me out a lot. And as always, it can help us bring more players into the hobby, which will help us all when we're trying to find people to play our favorite games. Deal? So go hit those like, comment, and subscribe buttons and we all win. See you next episode. I'm going to play me some Space Invaders, the board game. Take care.